Hello, welcome back to the Regulating and Raising podcast. Today's conversation is for the mom who is longing to create a calm, emotionally safe home for her children. But she knows deep down that it has to start with herself first. So I'm joined by Rebecca, a spiritual guide, teacher, and mentor, as well as a numerologist, hypnotherapist, and energy mapping expert. So Rebecca helps people understand themselves on a deeper level and create true emotional balance from the inside out. Today, we are diving into how to create emotional balance and safety in yourself and your children, why a mother's own regulation is the foundation for her child's sense of safety, how emotional patterns get passed down through generations, and the practical and energetic tools that help us find balance within ourselves so our children can feel it too. So this is such an important conversation for any mom out there doing the work of breaking cycles. So Rebecca, I am so honored and happy that you're here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's dive into it. So, many moms, including myself, are trying to create calm, safe, emotionally balanced homes for our kids, but, they are doing it from, dysregulation, depleted places themselves. So why does emotional safety, first off, for a child have to start with the mom's own balance? And what is actually happening energetically when a mother does regulate herself?
That's such a great question. And I will say that the majority of my clients are mothers, particularly working mothers who are striving to find understanding and balance, and also, they're on a spiritual journey. And so they're like, where am I supposed to fit myself into all of this equation? When am I supposed to devote all of this time to working on myself and healing myself? And what I have found, I'm also a mother myself, so I too ask myself that same question. But what I have found is that there are little moments that we can take throughout the day that can help us to regulate ourselves emotionally. From an energetic perspective, our emotional bodies are our strongest. In society, we tend to focus on our minds. We tend to focus on our mental energy, which that a lot of times can be a more masculine driven archetype. We are really meant to first focus on our emotional selves, and then we can focus on the rest of us. Our emotional bodies are what propel us forward. They are our why. Like they're the reason we get out of bed in the mornings, and why we feel passionate, and why we love our children, and why we do what we do. It's our reason, right? And so it's important to cultivate a sense of emotional balance and safety within ourselves first. And that can spill over into our children. The mother is the foundation in a child's world. And I have worked with so many people who have mother and father wounds, and the mother wounds are so much louder to me. And so it puts even more emphasis on us caring for ourselves, because that creates the pathway for the children for the rest of their life, and it helps them to either learn how to be dysregulated, or learn how to be regulated. And that sounds like a lot of pressure. The world is also going to shape our children, right?
Yeah.
So all of that being said, going the long way around the barn, it's really important for women to not shame their emotional selves. I feel like that is the very first step, because, like I said, we live in a very masculine, a patriarchal society. And of course, it's slowly starting to turn the other direction, thankfully. But we need to learn how to nourish our emotional body as women. There are little shifts that we can take throughout the day. We think we have to do this big thing. And it's all going to happen at once, and that's not the truth. It's about consistency. It's about daily habits. It's about creating a structure for the self. And that will actually, like, our kids pay attention to everything that we do and say, as you well know, even when we think they're not listening to us. And so I feel like if the mother, being the emotional and spiritual and energetic head of the household, can regulate herself, it will, like, our children will, for the most part, start to fall in line. They'll start to understand, like, this is our sense of safety. This is our structure.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm sure that you can feel this and like experience it yourself. But once I started doing the work, and just understanding when we are programmed, there we go, conditioned,
Yes.
I see it in my kids. Like now, like, especially I have a 7-year-old daughter, like she is better at, controlling her anger. When she feels something, she can express it. Like my 4-year-old, like he is so regulated, which is like crazy to me some days, that he is so in tune with himself. And like, just to see that, when you're going through the journey and to see flow into your kids, it's like the most like exciting thing. In my opinion. I don't know if you had that same experience as well.
So, my son is on the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
and so helping regulate, his emotions and his sensory, um, his, especially now that he's a teenager, has been a little bit of a challenge. But it's also shown me, like, literally, how our connection, our tie as mother and child, um, absolutely has a direct effect on him, and he looks to me for that. Just give an example. If you're about to say walk across a bridge, and it looks a little sketch, but you've tested it, you've checked it, it's like, okay, I think it's just going to be just fine, and you can walk across it safely, and they're looking to you like, is this okay? Like,
Yeah.
are you sure? Are you positive? And the kid will trust the parent, right? They'll trust, like, everything is going to be okay. This is solid. You're good, and I'll get you to the other side.
For sure. Um, I really want you to also share with us just kind of your story, like how you even got to, such a close relationship with your spirituality, how you, tell us about your kids. If you know your human design, obviously I love human design. I'd love to know your type profile, but just kind of give us your little spiel of how you got to where you are today.
Okay, sure. But as far as my human design, I'm a 5-1 manifesting generator. Um, I'm single definition, and um, left angle cross of endeavor. Also
Oh yeah.
sacral. I am always, like, starting stuff. I'm always starting things.
Shenanigan
I'm
in
very
you.
excited about it. Yes,
Multi-passionate.
yes, exactly. So as far as my spirituality goes, well, of course, I grew up in the South, and so I was raised in a Christian household, very religious area of the country, and I was always the weird kid, and I just didn't accept answers, readily. It's like, well, this is the way it is. Well, why? And I was the kid always asking why, so I was really annoying, I'm sure. And so I've just always been a person that's researched and studied and looked into things to try to find a deeper meaning, and because that would satisfy me. Um, and so I think that's kind of where it all began. But I've always had, like, little inklings of my gifts throughout my life. And in like the end of 2015 is when I say that the dam broke,
Yeah.
because, like, everything flooded in. I
Mm-hmm.
had a massive, what we call in the spiritual community, awakening experience, and everything came online for me. I started experiencing my gifts in real time, and I was like, whoa. It was very overwhelming. And that's not the case for a lot of people. Sometimes it's like a gradual thing. It was not for me.
Yeah.
No, I was like, okay, or I'm having something truly miraculous happen to me, and I decided to lean into it. And I'm glad that I did. I didn't question too much which is so funny because I was always questioning things. And so that is how I came into stepping into my gifts. I fully trusted. I communicate with spirit. I communicate with passed on loved ones and guides, and just started to learn how to get familiar with all of that. And what was beautiful is during that time, like my son was still pretty young,
Mm-hmm.
and he just, this is kind of sort of what he's always kind of known about mom. And my husband was very understanding and accepting of me and my gifts. Now they don't partake,
Mm-hmm.
and that's fine. I appreciate that. I want them to walk their own paths, and like I'm like, you don't have to subscribe to what I subscribe to. But they've always accepted me, and I've appreciated that. And so in 2020, at the height of the pandemic, I started my business, which is called Akashic Beck. And I started reading the Akashic records. As my name implies, I'm an Akashic records reader. And so that was like primarily what I do. And I read for people all over the world. And as I've developed this business, my gifts have developed along with it. And I started really looking into energy mapping, which I feel like is super helpful for people because it's not just about the spiritual aspect, but the practical one. And it gives it like the spiritual aspect literally translate to what is happening in the reality and the physical in your face. And so it's very rewarding, and I love it very, very much.
Kids, you mentioned your son, but you, I think, have more than one.
I have stepchildren.
Okay.
They're older, they're grown, and my husband's a bit older than me. So I have stepkids, I have grandkids
Oh
by
my God.
association.
You definitely
And
don't
then
look like a grandma. How old are
thanks.
your grandkids?
So the youngest is 9, the oldest is 13.
Okay.
Yes, yes, and it's due to my husband being a good chunk older than me. So,
That's all right. Age,
and then we have
age
our
doesn't matter.
14-year-old son. Yeah, age is just a
It's
number.
just
It
a
just is what
number.
it is. I've heard it all.
It truly, truly is. So when you had your awakening,
Yes.
in 2015, did that come through like in a dream, or did it come through like in a meditation, or like how did you like feel like, oh, this is my gift, like this is what I'm supposed to do?
So it's a really funny story, and I'll give you the short version because it's a whole process. But I've been leading into more of that, and um, I kept having like little trickles of my gifts come in here and there. It was very, very, very random. Um, and it would come in at the weirdest times, of course. And then about a week before like the dam broke, I was laying in bed. I had just laid down. I was going to go to sleep. My husband was already asleep. Everybody was asleep except
Mhm.
for me. And I laid down and I started hearing someone call out my name. And I thought it was my husband. I was like irritated. I was like, "What? What do you want?"
Yeah.
Like trying to go to sleep. And and then I would go back to sleep. And this happened every night for a week. And at the end of that week, I was so mad. I was like, "What is it? Who was calling my name? What is happening?"
Yeah.
And then the end of that week, the dam broke, and I woke up one morning, and it was like life was different. I started sensing things, feeling things, seeing things, hearing things. And that's why I thought I was going crazy. And then what I realized though is this was not spiritual psychosis because I was very much like in my body. I was very aware
Mhm.
of what was going on. I did wonder if I was schizophrenic for a minute, but
Mhm.
then I realized, no, this is you. You've been calling this in. This is what you've been calling in for a while now, and it's finally here. And it just all flooded in at once. And then I had a vision of a guide come forward to me and started talking to me, and they were like, "First of all, you're not crazy. Second of all, this is real. Third of all, I'm here to help you. Don't don't freak out. And I was like, too late, super fun, and they were like, I get it. So they were very helpful. And so my guide helped me out tremendously. And they said, we're going to help you every step of the way. And they did. They guided me to the people that could help me. They guided me to books that I needed to read. They guided me to places I needed to go. And they continually do that for me. I'm everything that I have done with my business has been intuitively led, and I have trusted, and it's brought me a lot of wonderful things in my life.
That is awesome. Can
Thanks.
you also tell, because I like a lot of individuals in my audience are also like Christian based
Hmm.
believers. I'm bringing forward a lot of topics that, they don't have a lot of resources in, or like just making them think a little bit deeper. And that's the whole goal of why I launched my podcast. And can you share with them like what the Akashic records are exactly?
Sure. So, the Akashic record, everybody has an Akashic record. It's not a place. It's not like a literal library or anything. It's, basically the map of your soul. It's your soul's journey throughout all of your lifetimes. Because I personally believe in reincarnation, and I know a lot of religious institutions feign on that. But I, I'm able to see where a soul's journey has taken them, where they've been, what gifts they've carried over throughout those lifetimes, where they are now, where they have the potential to go, in this life and in other lifetimes. Um, but basically, it is the blueprint, the map, the story of your soul's journey. And everybody has that in their energy field, in their energy map, so to speak.
So awesome. And then how does this like play into like astrology or like your new numerology that you're also passionate about? Like how does that all kind of support each other?
um, well, it's really fascinating because, with astrology and numerology, of course, those are different modalities. They're helpful modalities. They kind of set the stage for what could potentially happen. It's not telling the fortune, it's not telling the future. It's just kind of showing you what the weather is, if you will. And our astrology chart, if you will. And it's kind of a snapshot of what was going on with the planets whenever we were born. That's the inner wheel, and then the outer wheel is the planets moving around us. And then we have our numerology, which that is my bag. That's what I like to do. I'm good with the numbers. But numerology is the same thing. This is a snapshot of when you were born, and this is all the numbers are moving around you, and this is what they translate to. And so this is what could potentially be happening for you, right?
Mhm.
What could be happening in your environment, so you will know how to best prepare for that. Well, how all this ties in is it's very interesting because it shapes us, or we shape it rather. And what's so interesting is, as I've done readings throughout the years, people will say, "Oh my gosh, like this is what my astrologer told me." This is literally what's in my chart. Like, you picked it out of there, and I'm like, okay, cool. So it translates as, like I said, that snapshot of what's going on for you, who you are, your personality, your gifts. All of that is reflected in within each of these modalities, I guess you could say.
So talk about numerology. I love numerology as well.
Good.
I'm always like our house signs, like our license plates, like all of that. I totally, totally love.
Yes,
I would love to know your explanation of it, and also just how it can support you
sure.
in your nervous system and just regulation.
Absolutely. Oh, I love the numbers. So, I just look at numerology as just another language,
Yeah.
and the way that My interpretation, my explanation of numerology is um, kind of like I was saying, that snapshot of when we were born and energies that surround us as we move forward throughout this life, and it can kind of tell you, okay, this is something you might want to expect. Each of the numbers has a meaning, a frequency, an energetic signature as well. And when you can understand how all of those numbers link together for you, just like in astrology, how all the planets and the transits and everything link up for you, this will give you a better idea of what you came to do, who you came to be, what your gifts are, how you can utilize those gifts, what this interpretation might mean, how you get along with other people, how those numbers jive with each other or don't jive with each other. And so I, I utilize that information to help him. I hate to use the word empower because, like, people are kind of like me on empower people with their own understanding, their understanding of themselves and how they operate in the world and why they may be the way that they are. It's a language that you learn, and so it can like kind of mold and cultivate your experience.
Love it. Modalities.
Um, I mean, it might be deeper to somebody and not so deep to somebody else. I guess it's just your interpret. It does give you like a deeper layered meaning, other than just like surface level. And so when I do numerology readings, like I incorporate my own intuition in with the numerology itself. So it's not just, okay, you're a life path 6 and this is what it means. It's like, okay, there's more factors at play than just that. And so yes, I guess in my personal opinion, I would say that the readings are a lot deeper because I can get very, very specific, and I can understand, on an emotional, mental, spiritual, physical level what is happening for this other person because I'm reading their energy.
What is the Akashic record in your readings? What areas do they kind of tap into?
Everything, because it's about everything. Most of the time, I get people who want to know about relationships. That's probably one of the biggest questions that I get.
Yeah. I
Is
guess
I
for
want
like
to know
human
about my
design, there's
relationships.
like Kundalini, there's astrology, there's different
Mm-hmm.
factors that are kind of like
Mm-hmm.
intertwined. Do you need like birthday? Is it where the like how the planets were aligned, like the degrees, like kind of any of that aspect?
When I read the records, like I just go into their records and the information comes to me. It's like whatever their soul is willing to share is what I'm able to access.
Who founded, I mean, these records?
Well, it's something that's always been with all of us. I guess like the term came um, around sometime in the 1800s.
Okay.
I mean, civilizations for eons and forever have been tapping into the records, but the actual coined term was created sometime in the late 1800s, and then it was made very popular by Edgar Cayce, who was known as the Sleeping Prophet. And he, unbeknownst to him, he was actually tapping into the Akashic records, and he was providing his clients with health information. And he ended up founding a hospital that had actual doctors and nurses that worked there, and he was able to help patients through tapping into the records. He was able to work with doctors and nurses and provide healing for these people. um, Regardless of what you call it, it's always been with us. Everything and everyone has it. The earth has an Akashic record. The other planets, the stars, the solar system, everything has one.
So one thing I wanted to pick your brain about is, emotional patterns. Like they
Yes.
are very often inherited. We carried the unprocessed emotions from, the women before us without even realizing it. So from your perspective as that spiritual guide and energy mapping expert, like how do these patterns like get passed down, and what does it look like to clear them so that we're not unconsciously handing them to even our own children?
Yes. Oh, yes. Epigenetics is very real. It goes back 7 generations, right? So there are things that happen to us. I personally do not believe in coincidences anymore since I started this spiritual journey. And what I found is that the things that are unprocessed, unlooked at, suppressed, um, a lot are always going to come back and bite us in the butt, later on. And so it's important, like to me, from an energetic perspective, to look at things from all angles and not just try to intellectualize everything, right? There are things in our energetic fields that a lot of times we are not aware of, but they present in our reality. I can give you another example. Let's say you have bipolar disorder, and I'm not a doctor, by the way. This is just what I've seen from an energetic perspective. A lot of times, people who have mental illnesses such as this, especially when it's a bipolar disorder, from an energetic perspective, they have suppressed their spiritual gifts. They have suppressed them for so long, and the generations before them have suppressed their spiritual gifts for so long that it has literally shifted something within their body, within their mind, within their whatever, and it has caused this labeled diagnoses.
Interesting.
And so my job, and I take it very seriously, and then I tell them about it, and I tell them when I see, and they're like, and they dismiss it, and it's like, okay, well then I guess you're just going to keep your block then. It's things that we're not willing to look beyond what we see in our reality, what we intellectualize and understand, that emotionally and energetically there's this whole untapped resource that we need to look into. And people are afraid to do that because they think that, oh my gosh, like my brain's going to explode, or, or it would blow the lid off of their, like you said, their conditioned beliefs. It would blow the lid off of what they think of in terms of healing and how to heal those things. And it's scary, And so it's really important that for us to cultivate a sense of safety in ourselves emotionally, so we can just handle the information that comes through, that we can learn how to deal with it. Like what are the next steps? What's the next level? And know that you don't have to figure it all out right away the same day. Because it took time to get there. So I help people unpack those things. And I also, a lot of times people are afraid to feel. They're afraid to feel their feelings, and you can't heal it until you feel it, right? So with all that being said, our kids, man, these kids, they are next level. They are amazing. They are so intuitive, and they are already deeply connected to their spiritual and emotional sides. We need to actually be learning from them a lot of times. It goes both ways. And also, sometimes part of our purpose in this life is to help our parents. Like our children choose us, and before they were born, and people are like, oh my God, why would I choose these parents? Like, they were so ratchet. But it's the truth. And it's because we came equipped. We came with the things that, like, inherent in us spiritually, energetically, emotionally, to help them heal, so that we can end that generational curse. We can end this, that, and the other, so that we can move forward, and our futures, our children, our lineage, our grandchildren do not have to suffer that, so they can be great. They can stand in their power and their greatness.
Oh, So good. I have three kids, and my business is built on, regulating myself while raising them. And just kind of the reflection moment of this, I do constantly is like, what each of my kids were put here, like what lessons I've already learned and what lessons I'm currently learning
Hmm.
from them. And I just think it's like the coolest thing. You can look like my son, he is, I had to step away from like my corporate job to be home with him to heal him from his eczema. And it not only took, the outer shell, but it did the inner workings. And he's on the, like, we're on the other side of that now. And it's just like, he brought me home to this work. And I'm like, thank God, like for him, those situations, you just start to look at life like so differently. Like, thank goodness for that illness. Or, I've lost my dad, and it's like, you hate to be like that, but like, thank goodness that situation happened, because now I'm even closer to my, spiritual self. And, my faith has grown tremendously. We live in such a victimhood, nowadays. And thinking that life is, just constantly like happening, and like bad things are happening to us. But like reframing that, I feel like will save you tremendously. I don't
Hmm.
know if you can agree on that.
Absolutely, I do. And but it's also like I have to be very careful because I am not a victim blamer or shamer. It's like there
Yes.
is a little degree of spiritual bypassing, when we start talking about that. However, um, I do agree in that. Don't believe in coincidences anymore. And I always am reflecting about how it's like, yes, I see the like why that had to happen,
Yes.
or why I had to participate in that, even if it wasn't to do with me. It's like even if you're an innocent bystander in something.
Hmm.
Um, and also, people just be ratchet. you know Life just lifes at us, and it's like rude. But we just have to deal with it the best we can. But yes, I agree. I do agree, heavily, that it there's a lesson to be learned in all of it, and that's what helps us grow.
100%. For the mom who feels like emotionally off balance, and does not even know where to start, like, what are the practical energetic tools that you feel like actually help create that safety and balance within her? And how does she begin to even teach her children emotional regulation while she is still learning in the real time?
Yes. So, kind of going back to the beginning of the of our talk, there are small things that moms can do every day. We have to do this big shadoo, and we have to go to a retreat. No, it all starts in our daily life and our daily habits. And you don't have to meditate for 9 hours, to achieve enlightenment or whatever. I think in the way that the world is set up now, taking these little micro moments is what is going to be our saving grace. And doing it consistently. Consistency is key, right? With everything. I love when my son tells me this, like, go touch grass. Go outside, ground, earth yourself. We need her negative ions, okay? Like, we are constantly being bombarded and electrically charged. We are electrical beings as well. Go outside and get you some negative ions, friend. Go touch the earth, hug a tree, talk to a plant, whatever you want to do, however that looks for you. I mean, if you think about it, like, what do we do when we're overwhelmed? We're like, I need some air. I need to go outside, So follow that instinct. She's out there for a reason, right? um you can do micro meditations.
Hmm.
You can do affirmations in your head while you're working. Let's say you do something when you work with your hands, um and you're keeping yourself busy, and you're kind of doing like a rhythm type of thing. Like, you can actually take that rhythm and put affirmations to it. That's actually something that I do
Love that.
on a daily basis. Like, Ritz I'll share is everything works out for me beautifully, wonderfully, and magically. Just whatever you want to say. Like, you don't have to use that. I don't
Yeah.
care. But
It's awesome
um
though.
yeah, because you are literally creating new neurological pathways when you do these things,
Hmm.
right? Um, when I say micro meditations, it is literally go sit in your car for 2 minutes, sit in silence somewhere, anywhere that you can. I don't care if it's a bathroom, and just disconnect from everything for 2 minutes, and I promise you, it will reset something in you so you can keep going. Like, take that moment, even if it's just a moment, and do that for yourself. Remember yourself, right?
Hmm.
We're so, as women, we are, and mothers, we are just constantly pouring out into everybody else. Take something back for yourself, because you're not going to be able to keep going if you don't. And it doesn't cost anything, it doesn't cost anything. Another thing is, also learn about energy, learn how to understand your own energy first as a mother, because it is so important. You will start to notice things that you did not notice before. You will start to understand how, not only you already know how you're affected by something, right? But you will learn how you're affecting the environment too. Start to pick up on those subtleties. Start to notice. Moms notice everything. We're observant by nature because we're like trying to keep kids alive, right? So it's like, notice, coming back into that awareness of, A plus B equals C. If I am feeling like this, if I am doing this, it is making this happen. It is affecting this in this way. You don't have to get super in your head about it, but sometimes it's just as simple as that. Taking those moments to notice.
And I want to add that you're not going to ever be perfect.
No.
Like that's one thing I feel like that is such a misconception, whenever you do like tap into your energy and all your problems are going to go away. And as Rebecca said earlier, I have 35 years of conditioning that I'm now deconditioning. Like it's going to take some time. And also, whenever I started getting into this, is that like I feel like I couldn't call myself regulated because I just had, snapped at my kid that. And it's like, no, that's not what we're trying to do here. Like you can still be regulated and dysregulated at the same exact time. And like, that is okay. I even am aware that I snapped at my kid, and now I'm going to figure out how I can, get better at that the next time like that situation occurred. But also the lingering is not as long. Like, I would go days in just like spiral circles of like, I'm a terrible mom. I'm just going to improve. So that's one thing I always like to add during these like spiritual journeys, that like, we're not chasing perfectionism here. Like you can be yin and yang, you can be black and white.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole goal, is to see both sides.
Absolutely. Yes. Break up with perfectionism. Perfection is not real. You're perfect. We're all perfectly imperfect,
100%.
Yeah, it just learn to love yourself. Like, it's not that serious. People, once again, that can also be part of this epigenetic conversation. It's like, if the women in your family have like always chased perfection and this idealism, and oh, things have to be a certain way, you're going to carry that wound as well, and it's just not possible. It's not attainable, achievable.
Yeah. I think that's like one of the biggest wounds in just motherhood in general, like, and especially with like social media these days, everybody's
Mm-hmm.
just, it's the performance of it. And I'm like, how
Yes.
do we get back to really just being our true, authentic selves and utilizing tools, within the spiritual realm? I feel like
Mm-hmm.
is such a benefit. And what I've learned is like each tool kind of like, opens up different doorways, for me at least, and just like another layer of understanding yourself. I guess my biggest advice during this whole thing too is just like have fun with it. Like look at these as like fun. That's great, but like just have fun with these because it's so fun to learn about yourself.
It is. It's super fun. And I feel like the more you understand yourself, the better you understand yourself, the more you can be a good mom, and you can be the kind of mom that you all have always wanted to be. It's just beautiful. It's we are truly magnificent creatures, and we need to give ourselves a little bit more credit, you know.
Yeah. I mean, not only a better mom, but I feel like, for me, it's made me a better wife. It's made me a better sister. It's made me a better daughter. It's made me a better
Mm-hmm.
niece. Like, it's made me a better, everything, honestly. And
Yes,
whenever you start to understand the other person's, spiritual gifts too, that's when I feel like rainbows and butterflies start to pop out places.
absolutely. Yeah, look for the joy. Like there is magic in every day, and I truly truly mean that. There is a whole energetic world that exists around us that most of us cannot see with the naked eye, but it's there and it's magical. And like just remember that, you know? And can I just share one more thing
Love it. Yes.
that because you were talking about social media, and one of my favorite trends here lately is it's a video. I saw this one video and this little baby was crying. You know, she's probably like a year and a half old, and she was just having a tantrum, y'all. Like she was throwing elbows. Her dad was sitting there and he goes, Jessica, Jessica. And the baby's like, what? You
Yeah.
know, they're like, who's Jessica? Or what is he talking about? You know, and literally I was like, he was just shifting the energy. That's all he was doing, you know, instead of like her just getting more and more upset and more angry and more whatever was going on with her. It's like he shifted the energy by redirecting it. I mean,
That's
that's a
exactly
perfect
what it is.
example of what we're talking about right now, you know?
100%.
Yes.
Well, if my audience wants to, shift their energy, um, where can they find your assistance to do that, and what resources do you have available?
Okay, sure. So they can always visit my website. It's akashicbeck.com. And I have Akashic Record reads. That's probably my most frequently requested service. But I also do what's called soul chats. Those are like intuitive readings with or without tarot. And that's just basically a conversation that we have, and I weave my intuitive guidance in with that. And then I also do numerology reports and energy mapping reports. So if you are interested in learning more about, you know, what's going on in your energetic field around yourself and what's being affected, I can help you with that.
And I will, as always, link all of this in the show notes so you guys can easily access those. But Rebecca, thank you so much for the conversation today. I
Of
appreciate
course.
you tremendously.
Yes. Thank you for having me. This was wonderful.